We are here at St. Barnabas Episcopal Church in Borrego Springs in one of the months of the year where you can actually be outside without sweating too hard. And we're talking with Rick and Paula Huls, who go to the church and who have been involved in some work that does a lot of good for their communities. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So first, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Rick Huls, and I have been involved with the Habitat for Humanity's program for about 16 years now.
And sitting next to you is Paula.
Yes,
You want to introduce yourself?
certainly. My name is Paula, and we volunteer for Habitat for Humanity in the RV Caravanner program, which we travel with a purpose in our motorhome, going from one build site in a community and into another. We work for about 2 weeks, and then we can move on, or we can opt to do another
You're
tour.
eliminating the need for me to ask questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Rick said that he's been doing this for about 16 years. You've been doing it for the same amount of time?
No, actually 2 years less, because he retired first.
Okay.
And then about 2 years later, I saw that he was having so much fun. I said, I want to do that too. So I retired.
And what did you do before?
I worked for the Boeing company, and my last position there, I was an auditor for the company, so I would go around to different parts of Boeing and audit procedures and policies.
Well, I can see how that would help keep a Habitat for Humanity project on cost, but how did that help you learn how to build a house?
It didn't. So it's all on-the-job training. All you need to do is to show up with an open mind, a willingness to work, and help a community.
So,
And the basic safety equipment, closed-toed shoes, some gloves, and not in short shorts.
No.
so basically, show up in a pair of jeans, a pair of work boots, a shirt. They'll give you a hard hat if you need it.
Yes.
Yes.
And a willingness to work, and you can help build homes for people who need them.
Correct.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that you are in the caravan portion of
Right.
Habitat for Humanity, which is a little bit different than what most people are familiar with. Do you want to sort of explain that?
The caravan program is basically, as we like to say it, it's old folks with hammers. And there are people who are, most of them are retired. They're seniors, and they have an RV of some sort, and they travel around the country going from job site to job site. It is a 2-week commitment for each job site you go to. So.
And it's a little bit different than the standard Habitat for Humanity, which tends to be in a more urban area where the people can be there long. The caravan group, you're going out into less urban areas, is that right?
That's correct. We go out into areas that need help, because in the major cities they usually have a lot of volunteers, and they can draw on their local people to do the help, because all habitat housing is built by volunteer labor.
Okay. And Paula said she got involved because you were having so much fun. What got you involved, Rick?
Javier, he stood up in church one day and said, I need some volunteers hours for my house I'm getting built for Habitat for Humanities. And so we showed up and went to his house, and on the next work day, and showed up with a bunch of people from the church, and that was our first Habitat job.
That's a lesson for this church and other churches, that somebody can stand up and say, hey, we need help, and help will show up.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
How would you say that your faith has contributed to your work with Habitat for Humanity?
Okay.
Oh, you should have known that question was coming.
I know. Today's lecture,
Sermon.
sermon from Reverend Michael just touched home on that whole point of woe unto you and blessed are, because the more we can do, we don't ignore, we acknowledge people have a certain kind of situation and they need a little hand, a lift up. And that's what we see and we practice, and with the Caravaner program, as we travel around, we get to see God's work right now in action, and gives us an opportunity to connect with the community more closely that way.
I'd like to add a misconception that happens around Habitat for Humanities. It is a faith-based organization. It is not a Christian organization. You do not have to belong to a Christian church to get a Habitat home. We have built homes for Jews, Muslims, Christians, so you just have to be a faith-based organization.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily need to be of any particular denomination to have God love you either, do you?
No,
you
no.
do not.
And that's one of the things that we stress at St. Barnabas and in the Episcopal Church.
Right.
There's a little bit of a good story about how you came to be a member of St. Barnabas.
Laura, our minister here, we moved into this community slowly, surely, as they call the Borrego Creep. It started out with 1 week in 2010 and ended up in 2017 we bought a house. I mean, it's called the Borrego Creep. And when we were searching for a church, we found in our neighborhood there was this lady that was picking up trash and putting it in the bag. And I asked our neighbor, who's that? And they said, oh, that's Reverend Laura. She's the Episcopal Church, and she goes out and does this on her own every day in her walk. And I'm going, oh, okay, dear, I think we found the church we want, because we want a church that helps the community. And if the minister's out here picking up trash, that's about as low as you can get on the job description. Well, that's the organization we want to belong to.
Great. There's a national coordinator for the Caravan group, correct?
Correct.
If somebody wanted to get involved, who would they contact?
Her name is Mary Vandeveld, and if you just go and Google Habitat
For Humanities.
yeah, RV Caravanners, then the website will pop up, and you can read all about traveling with a purpose, and on there is also a schedule of where all the builds are and how you can sign up for the builds.
So in 16 years and 14 years, how many builds would you say you've been on?
Well, the first two years I became what they called a regular volunteer. I worked 4 days a week, working for one affiliate in Redmond, Washington, and I did that most of the weeks of the year. For the Caravaner program, we have got 68 builds. That's 2 weeks builds recorded, and and it's more than that because there's some of them that we didn't get recorded. They're like
We just dropped in on an affiliate.
So in the words of an old commercial, you bought a Chevrolet and you see the USA?
Yes.
Except that while you're seeing the USA, you're stopping by and doing some good
Right.
around the country.
right.
Yes.
And in the 10 years we've been in every state in the Union, including Alaska twice, except for Hawaii, and we can't get the RV across there.
Maybe we can figure something out, a cargo ship or something. You brought the annual report
I
because
did.
there's some stuff in there that makes it explain a little bit about why it is that you do this. Do you want to walk us through that a little bit?
Yes.
And-
Great. This is the reason why, for me, that we do what we do with the Caravaner program. And this year, and you see in the annual report, there are these wonderful pictures that the children of the homes that were built by Habitat volunteers all around the world sent in their drawings, and so they were published in the annual report. And I just think it's a beautiful way of reminding all people that volunteer for Habitat to reconnect with the real reason, because everyone, and especially the children, deserves a stable, safe, secure home that they can call their own. They have their own bedroom, they have their own facilities, and they can invite their friends.
It's a worldwide program,
Yes.
Yes,
started in Americus, Georgia,
Yes.
yes.
not started by former President Jimmy Carter,
No.
although he's very closely associated with it,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Correct. It's Plains, Georgia, and Americus, Georgia are 27 miles apart. You can't, in being in rural Georgia, you can't accept getting involved.
Well, we're hoping that you can inspire some other people to get involved with this video, and you can't help but get involved. Thank you for helping to fight housing insecurity, and I know both of you are going to be here tomorrow for Food Bank, help us fight food insecurity.
Right.
So you're out doing good work. Any last words you would use to inspire people to get involved?
I want to give the story of Javier's daughter since we put
Yes.
that out.
Let's do it.
Javier was, as I said earlier, stood up in church and asked for volunteers. I got to know Javier quite well because I became the regular volunteer, and I worked like 4 days a week. And so I got to know him quite well. And we just received about 4 years ago an invitation to his daughter's college graduation. First member in his extended family ever to graduate from college. That is a real plus in the fact that she still remembered us and sent us an invitation saying thank you, and didn't expect us to actually go because we were on the road someplace else in the country. But that's a big point when you can see the big impact that a stable housing has on people's lives.
And you think back, and it's not just Javier and his family, but you've done that for probably close to 100 families now.
I would guess,
Yes.
yeah.
So thank you.